Oh, Mr. Marsh, don't worry. We can just transfer money from your account into a portfolio with your son, and it's gone!
Hey, what's up everyone? It's Ryan here from The Y, and today we're gonna be taking a look at South Park. So I'm assuming you've already seen part 1. If you haven't, I suggest you go watch that one first. On that note, no intro this time, we're going in raw. Here's 50 facts you didn't know about South Park, part 2. At this point, Comedy Central and South Park are basically synonymous, and I don't think it's too much of a stretch to say that without the animated series, Comedy Central might not even be around today, at least not in the same capacity, making it all the more intriguing that the collaboration almost never happened. Before the show's conception and after developing the spirit of Christmas for Fox executive Brian Graydon, Fox got first dibs when they were pitching South Park. And it's not like they immediately hated the concept, as the network was eager to create an edgy product to attract a different audience. Yet things went sideways when Fox executives realized that Parker and Stone were a little too offensive for their taste. It sounds almost too dumb to be true, but from what I've read, they couldn't get over the character of Mr. Hanky. In their eyes, a talking piece of poop went too far, and they insisted that Parker and Stone remove him altogether. Obviously, the pair refused, and that was the end of that.
No way.
Let's just say that Eric Cartman has a criminal record that will put anyone to shame. His rap list includes murder, attempted murder, manslaughter, prostitution, enforced suicide, enforced cannibalism, attempted genocide, torture, rape, assault, kidnapping, hate crimes, grave robbing, terrorism, smuggling, possession of drugs, animal cruelty, and the list goes on, but I think you get the point. And the most insane thing about all this is that he's only been arrested a mere 6 times.
What kind of monster would—
Yes, let the anger come. Strike me down while you can. But it won't make your dried up ovaries any more fertile.
Is it just me, or do animated sitcoms have an uncanny knack for predicting the future? Now, South Park is definitely no Family Guy or Simpsons in terms of having a crystal ball.
And now please welcome Mr. Bruce Jenner.
As you know, we've inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump.
Yet this line was almost too good to be true.
You show me one independent film that isn't about gay cowboys eating pudding.
Mind you, this was 7 years prior to Brokeback Mountain, and all Trey Parker had to say was this:
If there's pudding eating in there, we're going to sue.
As you can imagine, Trey Parker's been making f***ed up sketches ever since he was young. It all began when Parker was in the 6th grade and performed a sketch called The Dentist at his school's talent show. He played the dentist and a friend the patient, with the plot being everything that can go wrong during an operation. There's of course no record of his elementary school masterpiece, and all Parker remembers is the excess of fake blood, kindergartners crying and freaking out, and his parents being called. Bigger, Longer, and Uncut was the highest grossing R-rated animated film upon its release, a title it held for an impressive 17 years until Sausage Party. And much like the plot of the film where the boys are denied entry to the R-rated Asses of Fire,
This movie has naughty language.
many adolescents faced a similar problem in trying to gain access to the South Park movie. I'm sure at least one kid took after Stan's idea and got a homeless person to buy them tickets, though it's been reported that most teenagers took the easier route and simply bought tickets to the PG-13 Wild Wild West and then snuck in. Who knows how much it really impacted ticket sales, but it was enough to annoy Trey Parker and Matt Stone, providing them the impetus to create the Wild Wild West themed episode Cat Orgy only 2 weeks later.
Well, I'm a badass cowboy living in the cowboy days. Winky, winky, scratch, yo, yo, bang, bang.
The voices in South Park are some of the most iconic parts of the show, and the way they're made is a bit of a trip. The first step is literally them just giving their best impression of a kid, after which it's basically all in the hands of audio software. For a boy's voice, you up the pitch 3 semitones.
By clicking agree, you are also acknowledging that Apple may
Show your mouth to the butthole of another iTunes user.
A girl's 2 semitones.
God damn it, Stan, stop that.
You do have a Facebook page, Stan!
4 for Terrence and Phillip.
You'd f your uncle. You'd f your uncle.
Shut your f***ing face, Uncle F***er.
And pitch your voice up 8 semitones. You get the minions. Moreover, you may remember how Cartman's voice in earlier seasons had a lot more fat and gruff on it.
Just like my Mr. Kitty. When he's bad, I say, that's a bad Mr. Kitty, and I smack him on the head. Yes, poor Mr. Kitty. Are you just so upset right now?
Well, doing that voice really started to f*** up Trey Parker's throat after a couple years, and so he was forced to alter it.
I hate you! I'm want you to die! Die! That's it! Party is over!
It goes without saying that Trey Parker and Matt Stone are pretty unconventional guys. I mean, it's one of the main reasons why South Park gained popularity in the first place. So when Bigger, Longer, and Uncut was nominated for an Oscar, for them to just show up and be normal would almost be sacrilegious. And what they came up with absolutely did not disappoint. They took LSD, put on dresses, and agreed to subvert any questions about said dresses by simply replying with what a magical night it was.
Is that why you're in the dress? It's just such a magical evening.
And if you thought they were lying about taking LSD, take a look at Trey Parker's face as he loses touch with reality for a brief second. Aliens. They may already be living amongst us, but we know for sure that's the case in the South Park universe. Beside their main appearances and Cartman gets an anal probe and the Redux, the aliens cameo in about 65 episodes of South Park. Sadly though, akin to how we don't see or hear much from Kenny in recent times, the aliens have been noticeably absent as well, which is in stark contrast to the show's earlier years where they seem to appear in almost every episode.
And I know that I am not under alien control.
I love to sing about the moon and the June.
When you talk about most animated shows, sure, the brainstorming, writing, and recording all take up a good amount of time, but the real limiting factor in terms of production is always going to be the animation. This is due to the fact that nearly every cartoon or anime is hand-drawn, a process that takes a minimum of 6 months, but more like 9 to 12 on average. With South Park though, which is largely created through the use of software, episodes are typically done start to finish in 1 week. This allows for more spontaneity and obviously they're able to stay way more current. However, it does come at a price. In the days leading up to the deadline, the staff of around 70 are expected to put in anywhere from 100 to 120 hours to get the job done. It wasn't always this quick though. With less staff and overall experience on how to make the show, the first couple seasons saw them taking around 3 weeks to pump out 1 episode. And going back to the very beginning, the pilot took an entire 3 months to complete. The character of Butters is based in the show's animation director and producer Eric Stowe, the first crew member ever hired who they nicknamed Little Buddy.
Hey, Wendy. Wendy! Bitch, don't you want to start making some real fucking money?
In the season 4 episode, Do the Handicapped Go to Hell?, the kids form a church and hand out flyers with the Bible verse written on the front. It reads, "Parents will eat their children, and children will eat their parents." Only 11 episodes later, the you-know-what event goes down. Call that a coincidence if you want, but I'm not so convinced.
Yes! Yes! Oh, let me taste your tears, Scott.
South Park may have rustled a few feathers with this depiction of Scientology, but that was nothing compared to the firestorm that episodes 200 and 201 ignited. During the lead up to South Park's 200th episode, the guys knew they had to make it special. What they came up with was a storyline involving all the celebrities they've ever made fun of banding together in a class action lawsuit against the town of South Park. Here's where things went downhill. Tom Cruise, the de facto leader of the celebrities, agrees to drop the suit on one condition, that he gets to meet the Prophet Muhammad. Now, I'm definitely a big believer in free speech and all, but let me just remind you how inherently dangerous this topic can be.
Retaliation? Oh my god. Okay.
In 2005, the Danish newspaper Jyllands-Posten published 12 cartoons depicting Muhammad, sparking international protests in which over 200 were killed.
Denmark! European country!
2 years later, Lars Vilks drew Muhammad as a dog, landing him in police protection for the rest of his life. And maybe the most infamous of all, 12 people were murdered in the Charlie Hebdo offices following publication of cartoons mocking the Prophet. So it's no wonder every media outlet on the face of the earth refuses to broadcast any image of Muhammad. But the crazy thing is, before 2005, no one was really making a big deal about it. Case in point, in the season 5 episode Super Best Friends, Muhammad was shown in plain sight as one of the religious superheroes.
Muhammad, the Muslim prophet with the powers of flame.
And further than that, he's pictured in almost every South Park intro. So when it came to episode 200, I feel like they really didn't even do anything that controversial, as he's only mentioned by name and never shown. He's only pictured censored out in a U-Haul truck.
Welcome
Oh, is that okay?
And in a bear outfit. Nonetheless, in the week between episode 200 and 201, the group Revolution Muslim made a post or a threat. You decide which one. We have to warn Matt and Trey that what they are doing is stupid, and they will probably end up like Theo Van Gogh for airing this show. Just so you know, Van Gogh was a film director killed in broad daylight for making a piece criticizing the treatment of Muslim women. They additionally uploaded a graphic photo of Gogh's dead body, a news article with the address of a house owned by Parker and Stone, and a sermon calling for the assassination of anyone guilty of depicting Muhammad. This brought about a few developments. Security was increased at Comedy Central headquarters prior to 201, and the episode was drastically altered to further ensure the safety of everyone involved. In episode 200, the only censorship came in the form of any display of Muhammad, but in 201, every mention of his name was bleeped out. As well as large portions of dialogue not even referencing his name.
Yeah.
Both episodes never re-aired following their original debut, and along with Super Best Friends, are not available on any of the major streaming platforms.
That's obviously the only true power. If there's anything we've all learned, it's that terrorizing people works.
The idea to make a Casa Bonita themed episode came together in two parts. The first segment, with Cartman convincing Butters that an asteroid was going to hit Earth, had been floating around for a long time, while the tie-in that it was all because he wanted to go to Casa Bonita was conceived a week before airing.
Casa Bonita, food and fun and a festive atmosphere, Casa Bonita.
Who said I'm inviting you?
To create the episode, the real Casa Bonita gave clearance to the show to use their name and likeness, a move which paid off dearly as the restaurant saw a boom in popularity among a much younger crowd in the years following. That was until COVID hit. And with hundreds of employees and 52,000 square feet of restaurant space, Casa Bonita's parent company filed for bankruptcy. Somehow or another, Parker and Stone heard about the fiasco, came up with a plan, and ended up buying the restaurant for a little over $3 million. Pretty much a bargain compared to the renovations, which totaled over $40 million by the time things were said and done. And if you plan on dining in the new and improved Casa Bonita, you won't have to tip. They've done away with all that and instead pay every employee a base $30 an hour.
Was it worth it?
Totally.
During the season 18 episode, Freemium Isn't Free, Stan develops an addiction to a mobile game, which is shown to be somewhat genetic as his grandpa Marvin is a compulsive gambler. Everyone accuses Randy of having a drinking problem as well, but they simply don't understand he's just a cultured man.
I'm not having a glass of wine. I'm having 6. It's called a tasting and it's classy.
Then, at the end of the episode, the two replace their addictions with a much more innocent hobby. 5 seasons later, this line makes a ton more sense.
So then you want a war miniatures game, something skirmish style like Legion or Blood and Plunder.
Dude, you're really into board games.
As a joke, in early seasons, whenever a celebrity asked to guest star in the show, Parker and Stone would offer them very nondescript roles. For example, George Clooney played Stan's dog Sparky in Big Gay Al's Big Gay Boat Ride.
Where'd you get that pink scarf? Man, that is the gayest dog I've ever seen.
Leno guest starred as Cartman's cat in Cartman's Mom is a Dirty Slut. And Henry Winkler as a monster in City on the Edge of Forever. One person who didn't want to play along was Jerry Seinfeld, as he declined the prestigious role of Turkey Number 2 in Starvin' Marvin. South Park's speedy production timetable is somewhat of a double-edged sword. It's great in terms of commenting on events while they're still fresh in people's minds. Yet the desire to be on top of things also leads them to sometimes make incorrect predictions. One instance in which this worked out extremely well was in the season 12 episode About Last Night.
Yeah! Yeah, Obama! Change!
So even though most episodes are made in a week or less, there's still a decent amount of brainstorming that occurs prior to the season. When it came to season 12, the team noticed that the schedule called for an episode to air the day after the election, creating the perfect opportunity to make fun of it less than 24 hours removed. The only problem was they had to pick who was gonna win, and because of the timetable they were working with, making an alternate version wasn't feasible. The good news is that as the episode drew nearer, it became more and more apparent that Obama was gonna win, and in this case, they were absolutely correct.
God damn it! Obama said things would be different! That son of a bitch lied to us!
8 years later, the same situation presented itself, only this time it was Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And as you might guess, with the episode being tentatively called The Very First Gentleman, they by no means expected Trump to win.
We're sure this is for real, right?
What have you done? You maniacs!
It's not clear how much had to be rewritten and reanimated, but they titled the new episode OGs, with this being the only surviving clip from the cancelled episode.
We now have someone in office who can bring about gender equality and put an end to sexism. Please welcome Bill Clinton. And so here to try and help us heal is Bill Clinton.
The always high Towelie first appeared in season 5, and the reason behind his conception may surprise you. According to the creators, Towelie was made solely in response to how heavily capitalized and merchandised the show had become, explaining why they deliberately made him shallow and two-dimensional, both literally and figuratively.
Don't forget to bring a towel. Ah, no.
Represented by him spouting catchphrases and then merchandising the hell out of them.
Don't forget to bring a towel.
You're the worst character ever, Towelie.
I know.
South Park's been around a long damn time, long enough to see the transition from standard definition in a 4:3 aspect ratio to high definition in a 16:9 aspect ratio. In regard to the change, Parker and Stone made a very smart decision from the beginning and saved every single project file used to assemble every scene in every episode, meaning when they switched to HD in 2009, they were easily able to re-render all 176 episodes to full 1080p with their original uncensored audio.
Kyle, this is the way the world works. If you want to find some quality friends, you gotta wade through all the dicks first. Dude jacking off. Dude jacking off. That's a dude jacking off.
Kenny is known for being one of the poorest kids in town, a fact which the show reminds us about at every turn.
Well, here's Kenny's house.
In the gutter.
For example, in Make Love, Not Warcraft, Kenny is the only one who can't afford an LCD monitor. In Scott Tenorman Must Die, Stan and Kyle pay for the movie with a $5 bill, while Kenny only has singles. And finally, in the episode WTF, everyone has a soda except for Kenny. As we rarely ever get to see the characters without their hats, I thought it'd be fun to go through each of their hatless debuts. Cartman revealed his hair first in Merry Christmas Charlie Manson, then Kenny in Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, Stan and Kyle in How to Eat With Your Butt, and last but not least, just cause he looks so weird, I had to throw in hatless Craig, who was first seen in Licecapades.
I'm clean. I knew I didn't have any stupid lice.
In my humble opinion, Medicinal Fried Chicken is an all-time great episode.
Buffalo Soldier in the heart of America.
It follows the two most entertaining characters and has some of the best cultural references with KFC, weed, the Catholic Church sex scandals, and even Scarface. I mean, what's not to love? And though you might find the concept of a KFC turned dispensary a novel idea, a former dispensary in Los Angeles called Kind for Cures inspired the look. Over the years, we've seen many different South Park video games, from a shooter to a party game, a tower defense, and the most well-known of all, the 2 RPGs. What you may not know is that there's one game that never saw the light of day, a platformer for the Game Boy Color called South Park. The game was fully developed and days away from being shipped to Nintendo when suddenly, Parker and Stone had a change of heart. They realized that the Game Boy Color was very much a child-centric console, and due to the age of their target audience, they figured there was no reason to go through with the project. Thus, it was cancelled and later reprogrammed to Maya the Bee in Europe, and The New Adventures of Mary Kate and Ashley in the US.
Oh my god! Think you're kidding! You bastard!
Sometimes you just can't make this shit up, and this scene from the Real Housewives of New Jersey 100% falls into that category.
That was totally uncalled for what she did. I'm like, who is she? Is she God? No.
That was totally uncalled for what she did. Like, who is she? Is she God? No.
Prostitution whore! You f***ing psycho bitch!
Prostitution whore? You are f***ing gay 19 times?
Since 2001, South Park's held the Guinness World Record for most swearing in an animated movie. Notably, it contains exactly 399 swear words, as anything over 400 would have earned the movie an NC-17 rating. Trey Parker and Matt Stone are among the richest people in the entertainment industry. But here's the interesting bit. Much of their net worth can be traced back to one deal they made all the way back in 2007. Real quick, let me jog your memory as to just how long ago that was. George W. Bush was president. The iPhone 1 had just come out, and Britney Spears had a shaved head. And while all this was going down, the South Park creators negotiated a deal that gave them 50% of all digital revenue. This seems like a no-brainer in today's world, but in the mid-2000s, when streaming wasn't even a thing, a contract like this was almost unheard of. Here's another thing they pulled off that no one else had the foresight to do: offer all the latest South Park episodes on their website for free. Matt Stone explained their reasoning. When we did our first couple of films, you pay people to come to the movie. If someone wants to see it, that can only be good for us. And right they were. Following 6 years of giving away their content for free and building brand equity, they licensed the streaming rights to Hulu in consecutive deals worth $87 and $110 million. And then in 2019, they once again scored big, this time from HBO Max and in the order of $500 million. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to leave me a like and subscribe for more content like this. Alright, till next time, have a great day everyone.